Breaking news. Donald Trump calls for military action, a move that could reshape the Middle East. What's happening and what does it mean for global peace? Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling, well, a really interesting source. It's a transcript from a recent YouTube video. Features a prominent political figure.
That's right.
And our mission, really, is to pull out the key arguments, the important bits of knowledge, maybe some surprising details from this.
Exactly. It's quite a direct source, very unvarnished views on a whole range of topics. We're talking military stuff, foreign policy, economic ideas, domestic issues, too.
So think of this as a way to get quickly up to speed on this specific viewpoint. We'll highlight what seems most important, point out some, striking claims.
But keep it neutral.
Absolutely. No taking sides. We just want to lay out what's in the source so you can form your own conclusions. Okay, let's get into it.
Sounds good.
So the source starts off pretty strong, right?
Right.
With a detailed account of a military operation, framed as a big success.
Yeah, it kicks off with Operation Midnight Hammer, and the description is, perfect military performance is the quote used.
Perfect. Wow.
Yeah, and very specific details. Pilots flying for 37 hours straight. The use of this odd word, scuttle, which seems to mean like total chaos for the enemy.
Scuttle. Never heard that one.
Me neither. And the claim, every bomb hit its mark. Even the target description is incredibly precise, like half a refrigerator door.
Half a refrigerator door. That's specific.
It is. And they even cite the Atomic Energy Commission supposedly saying that place is gone. Just total destruction emphasized.
Was it just aerial bombing?
No. The speaker adds that 30 Tomahawk missiles were also fired from submarines 300 miles out.
And those hit too.
Also described as hitting their targets perfectly, yeah. And this whole picture of flawless execution, it's then immediately contrasted with the past.
How so?
Specifically with the Jimmy Carter era. That unfortunate hostage situation is brought up. Mentions of helicopters going down, sandstorms, prisoners captured.
Ah, okay. So setting up a clear before and after narrative. Strength versus weakness.
Exactly. That seems to be the intent. A definitive shift.
So, okay, you have this narrative of military success. How does the source say this was perceived, at home and maybe internationally?
Well, the claim is that so-called enemies were watching and were very impressed by the mission.
Okay, enemies impressed.
But then, interestingly, the focus shifts really quickly to the domestic media. Big focus on what the speaker calls fake reporting.
Oh.
CNN and the New York Times specifically. They allegedly suggested targets might have been missed, which, according to the speaker, made the pilots a little downbeat.
And were there specific accusations against reporters?
Yes, quite specific. A CNN writer is singled out, linked to what the speaker refers to as the 51 fake intelligence agents story.
That letter about the laptop.
Right, and also the laptop from hell itself. It's all tied together in the speaker's criticism.
And why does the speaker say they watch these outlets they call fake?
The rationale given is to learn where they're coming from, to understand the perspective, even if it's considered hostile or wrong.
Okay, so that's the narrative on Operation Midnight Hammer. How does this assertion of perfect military success fit into the broader foreign policy picture presented in the source? Mm-hmm. Does it contrast with other things?
Oh, it contrasts sharply. It's placed right against the assessment of the Afghanistan withdrawal,
which the speaker was critical of.
Called it the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. That's a direct quote.
Wow. What were the main criticisms?
Several things. The manner of the exit. The speaker wanted strength and dignity, felt that wasn't achieved. Big issue with leaving equipment behind.
Like what kind of equipment?
A $150 million airplane is cited as an example. The speaker argues it should have been flown home or maybe to Pakistan or India, not just left there.
Any reason given for leaving it?
Yeah, there's an anecdote about Milley, presumably General Milley, suggesting it was cheaper to leave it. The speaker just dismisses that as totally illogical.
And any specific strategic losses mentioned?
Yes, abandoning Bagram Air Base. Described as having the most powerful runways in the world and crucially being 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. Leaving that is framed as a huge strategic blunder.
And does the source connect this Afghanistan withdrawal to anything else happening globally?
Explicitly, yes. It links what the speaker calls the stupid and incompetent operation directly to Vladimir Putin's decision to invade Ukraine. The idea is it showed weakness and emboldened him.
Okay, so that brings us to Ukraine. What's the stance there in the transcript?
Well, first, the speaker states they are not happy with Putin because he's killing a lot of people, so disapproval of the invasion itself.
Right.
But then the focus shifts to the aid provided to Ukraine. It's described as the best equipment ever made. Things like anti-tank busters and javelins.
And how does that compare to past aid?
It's contrasted with a previous administration, which allegedly only gave sheets. So positioning the current aid as much more substantial and effective.
But what about the cost? The financial side of the aid?
That's where the disapproval comes in strongly. The speaker notes the U.S. gave over $300 billion, compares that to Europe's over $100 billion, and suggests the current administration shouldn't have equalized it. The U.S. contribution is seen as disproportionately large.
Interesting. Any mention of sanctions on Russia?
Yes, the speaker acknowledges a very tough sanctions bill exists, but then adds this line: it's totally at my option, to pass it totally at my option, and to terminate totally at my option.
So emphasizing personal control over those sanctions.
Seems like it, highlighting discretion and authority over their application.
Okay, let's pivot now to economic policy. Big topic in the source, especially trade and energy, right?
Absolutely. Tariffs are, well, they're a huge theme, foundational, really.
What's the core argument about tariffs?
It's a very strong protectionist stance, full-throated advocacy for tariffs. The speaker actually cites a Council of Economic Advisors report.
Oh, what did it supposedly say?
Claimed that imported goods decreased in price, even with the tariffs in place, which is counterintuitive to standard economic thinking.
Definitely. And the justification for these tariffs.
The argument is basically that other countries ripped us off for decades. They had their own tariffs against U.S. goods, and the U.S. just made bad deals. It's about leveling the playing field, as the speaker sees it.
Is there any historical backing offered for this?
Yes, a specific period, 1870 to 1913. The speaker claims the U.S. was an all-tariff country back then and, quote, had so much money we didn't know what to do with it. McKinley is even called the Tariff King.
Interesting historical parallel. How does this idea connect to, say, military alliances or U.S. presence abroad?
It's directly linked financially. South Korea is given as an example. Speaker says they pay very little for the 45,000 U.S. soldiers stationed there.
And there was an attempt to change that.
Speaker recounts making a phone call and securing $3 billion from South Korea, but then claims the current administration canceled that deal.
Any other countries mentioned like that?
Germany as well, hosting 52,000 U.S. soldiers. The speaker frames this as tremendous money for them, but a tremendous loss for us. The underlying point seems to be that allies should pay more for U.S. protection.
So if tariffs are the preferred tool, how does the speaker talk about actually implementing them? What's the mechanism?
There's mention of an August 1st deadline. Countries basically need to agree to new terms by then.
And the incentive for them to agree?
Simply the right to deal in the United States. Access to the U.S. market is presented as the ultimate leverage. The speaker claims other countries are now suddenly willing to drop everything they've been charging us for years just to maintain that access.
Any specific regions or entities called out?
The European Union gets a specific mention. Speaker says the EU treated the U.S. very badly before, even much worse than China.
Worse than China? How so?
Examples given are lawsuits against U.S. tech companies like Apple and Google for billions. But now, according to the speaker, because of the tariff pressure, the EU is suddenly very nice.
And isn't there a new threat aimed at a particular group of countries?
Yes, the BRICS nations. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. There's a threat of a new 10% tariff specifically for them.
Why target BRICS?
The speaker claims BRICS was explicitly set up to hurt us and specifically to degenerate our dollar. There's a strong warning here about the dollar losing its status as the world standard.
How serious is that threat viewed?
Extremely. The speaker says losing the dollar standard would be like losing a war, a major world war. So the stakes are presented as incredibly high.
Okay, moving beyond tariffs now. Energy policy, another huge focus, right, and its connection to the economy.
Absolutely central. The speaker links energy policy directly to inflation, or rather, the lack of it.
What's the claim about inflation?
The speaker claims no inflation in the last 6 months, says we've broken the back of inflation, and points to the lowest gas prices at the pump in 4 years, mentioning seeing $1.99 in some places.
And how does energy factor into that?
Lower energy prices are framed as being like a big tax cut, because energy costs affect everything, right? Food, clothing, transport. So lower energy means lower overall prices.
Makes sense. What's the view on green energy initiatives?
Highly critical. What many call the Green New Deal is referred to as the Green New Scam, labeled the greatest scam in the history of our country.
Why such strong language?
Because it's seen as wasting trillions and trillions of dollars on ineffective solutions.
So what's the proposed counteraction in the transcript?
The speaker talks about one big, beautiful bill that supposedly ended subsidies for these green initiatives. The claim is this saves several $0.5 trillion over the next 10 years.
And the argument is these subsidies actually hurt consumers.
Yeah, the argument is they made electricity more expensive, not less. The speaker dismisses wind, solar, and batteries, says they only account for 3% of U.S. primary energy despite costing trillions.
So what's favored instead?
Clean, beautiful coal, natural gas, and oil. Traditional fossil fuels are strongly advocated for.
And the criticisms of renewables, like wind, get pretty detailed, don't they?
Oh, very. Wind energy is called very expensive, ugly, bad for your beautiful surroundings, specifically mentioning bird deaths. Also claims it lowers house values, needs subsidies, and is almost exclusively made in China.
Wow. Any specific examples given?
Yes, an anecdote about a friend visiting Minnesota, describing a valley turned into a junkyard with 159 windmills, many apparently terminated, meaning shut off, just rotting and rusting away. Short lifespans are emphasized. Palm Springs is mentioned as another example.
What about solar?
Solar fields also get criticized, called very inefficient and very ugly too. Takes up valuable farmland, the speaker says, and it's a lot of plastic from China.
So if not large-scale wind and solar, what's the alternative vision for generating power?
It's interesting. The idea presented is allowing individual plants, like factories, to build their own electric utility, complete with substations.
Generating their own power.
Yes, and even potentially supplying excess power back to the grid. This is contrasted with blackouts in California, which are blamed on an incompetent governor and reliance on unreliable sources. So it's a vision of decentralized, traditional energy production.
Okay, let's shift focus one last time to domestic views. The media comes up again, right? And some other issues.
Definitely. The media criticism is direct. CNN and the New York Times again accused of fake reporting and being corrupt.
Any stats mentioned?
Speaker claims the media is down to 17% approval and needs to straighten out their act.
And the speaker's approach to dealing with them?
Prefers confronting them directly. The stated reason is so the public doesn't know that you're a bunch of crooked people. It's a very adversarial stance.
Got it. What about the Federal Reserve? Any comments there?
Yes. Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, is called too late and terrible regarding interest rate policies. There's an accusation that he cut rates like crazy before the last election, specifically to help the speaker's opponents.
And then there was that moment about Jeffrey Epstein. Seemed unexpected.
It did. The speaker initially seems frustrated by the topic, calls bringing it up a desecration, especially given other issues like a recent tragedy in Texas.
But there were answers provided eventually.
Yes, the Attorney General, according to the transcript, steps in, confirms a client list is under review, along with JFK and MLK files, states that tens of thousands of video found were horrific child exploitation material downloaded by Epstein and will never be released.
Any comment on Epstein being an intelligence agent?
The AG denies any knowledge of that and explains the missing minute from a jailhouse videotape as just a normal glitch from an old 1999 system that resets nightly.
Okay. And finally, the source touches on jobs and the overall direction of the country.
Yeah, despite acknowledging a recent loss of 7,000 manufacturing jobs, the speaker highlights efforts to build hundreds of new plants and factories very quickly.
How quickly?
Permits are supposedly being obtained in record-setting times, mentions Lee Zeldin, a political figure, as someone helping speed things up.
And this ties back to energy somehow.
Yes, the need for double the electricity to power AI is brought up. And these new plants are building their own substations, feeding power back to the grid, connecting back to that alternative energy vision we discussed.
And the closing message.
It concludes with some broad criticisms, open borders and criminals pouring into our country, men playing in women's sports, transgender, for everyone. It's all framed as part of an America First team effort to counter these perceived problems.
Wow. Okay, that was quite a deep dive. We really unpacked a very specific and expansive viewpoint here, covering a lot of ground, foreign policy, the economy, domestic issues, all straight from the source transcript.
Indeed. We went through the details, from specific military ops and trade arguments to critiques of the media and energy policy. The goal, as always, was just to give you clear insight into the arguments being made in that source material.
Yeah, presenting the details so you can understand that particular perspective.
Exactly. No filter, just laying out what was said.
So this deep dive really offered a unique lens on current events and policy debates. It makes you think, how might these kinds of strong assertions about military perfection, economic independence, media corruption, how might they shape public discussion? And what does this kind of viewpoint maybe reveal about the challenges we all face consuming information and thinking about national identity today?
Thanks for watching Global Mind News. If you found this report helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We bring you the facts, insights, and updates that matter, straight from the source. See you in the next report.